get ready with me and let's chat about our goals for 2025. Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be filming a get ready with me and we're going to be talking about all of our goals for 2025. I love watching these types of videos that talk through like goals and planning. I do think the beginning of the year is a really nice time to like reflect on everything that's happened in the previous year and kind of reset a little bit and just work out what you want the year ahead to kind of feel like for you. I will say that I know also sometimes these videos can kind of put undue pressure on you and it might not be for everyone to watch these because it can be like triggering in some instances. So if that's the case for you, feel free to click off this video. You don't need to watch this one and come back to the next one. But like I said, I do really enjoy these types of videos and I get a lot of inspiration for them. So that's really the goal for this video. Just talk through like what my mindset is at the start of this year and maybe give you some inspiration if you're looking for it as well for your 2025 goals. So let's get into it. Before I start putting makeup on, I will just show you that the planner that I tend to use. I do like using a paper planner, but I have kind of gone through lots of different versions and iterations over the years of the way that I like to do my planning. And for like day-to-day tick lists, to-do lists, tasks, I like to have that on just my notes app or on like my computer for work. I have a different notes app for that. I just find that that is the most practical way for me to do all of my like daily task planning. But in terms of like goal setting, like yearly goals, monthly goals, aspirations, intentions for like the year and what I want that to look like, I do write that all down in a planner. I buy a monthly planner, so I like the ones with the month view, like a calendar basically. So they just have the whole month that you can see on a double page spread, and then at the beginning of each month I will go out and I'll write everything that I have in coming up that month so I know exactly what my month looks like, and then I can see where the gaps are for like filming videos and all of that. So in terms of like my schedule, that's how I keep track of everything. It's basically the same as if you were to use like a wall calendar, but I like having it in a book form because then it's more portable, and also it has obviously like lots of note pages, so I write all of my goals and everything for the year in the note section at the back. So last year I had the Loic term version of this, but it's a little bit more expensive. So this year I bought the Moleskine version, which does feel a tiny bit cheaper, but it's still pretty well made, and for the price, like, you can't go wrong, I don't think. So yeah, I know there's a lot of different systems. People go really like detailed with their planning and their planning systems and buying planners and spending a lot of money on planners, but for me this is the kind of simple system that works. It isn't gonna break the bank. I think this was maybe £15, and you do have to buy a new one each year, but I do find that I use, like when I buy these types of monthly planners, I actually do use the whole thing, whereas I was finding when I buy like weekly or daily planners that have like a different page for each day, there was so much of the planner that I just wasted because I just don't work that way, like on a daily basis, like writing physical pen and paper notes. So that's the system that I use, and then at the beginning of each year I do go through my 2024 goals, so like my previous year's goals, kind of reflect on everything. I do check in like monthly or every other monthly throughout the year on my yearly goals as well, just to make sure that I'm on track for everything, or if anything's changed then to kind of adjust that as needed. I use Grace Beverly's planning video method. If you don't know Grace Beverly, she's like a really big influencer here on YouTube, and she also has a like activewear brand called Tala, but she also has a planner brand called The Productivity Method. So I tend to use like most of her method for like my daily planning as well. I find that it's just a really good way to stay productive and get everything done that you want to get done. She also has some really helpful planning videos on YouTube for like when you're doing your kind of yearly goals. So I kind of separate them into categories the way, not exactly the way she suggests, but I kind of use her method and system to like reflect on the previous year, figure out what went well, what maybe didn't go so well, or like I didn't achieve that I wanted to achieve, or like where there are areas for development, I guess. I tend to like rewatch her videos at the end of every year and go through that process. So I've done that, I've set my goals for the year. I think it's also worth saying that goals should be achievable. So I always want to make my goals things that I know I realistically can achieve. I don't do vision boarding or anything like that, just because I am not a super visual person in terms of like looking at things that way. To be honest, if I had more time, maybe I would spend the time to like make a vision board, but I just think for me, it never has really like appealed to me or like grabbed my attention. Whereas like planning for the year, writing lists, I love that kind of method of like seeing like all my goals listed out. So I would do have like 3 or 4 goals in each category, but I feel like every single goal that I have is achievable and realistic. Basically, you should be setting SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound. That's kind of like the sort of gold standard for setting goals in the corporate world. Yeah, so I always try and make my personal goals SMART as well. I do think that it's not helpful to put very arbitrary or pie in the sky goals that realistically you're just not going to achieve this year. Those kind of traditional New Year's resolution type things, when it's like, I want to do this, but there's no actionable step-by-step plan to make that thing happen, that's when it suddenly becomes quite redundant, you spending time making these goals, because it's much more difficult to achieve them if they're not realistic. Okay, so let's start doing my makeup and talking through my goals for 2025. I think 2024 was probably one of the hardest years I've had mentally in a long time. I feel like for a few years there I was doing really well with my mental health. I was feeling just in a good place, and I can maybe touch a bit more on that later, but yeah, 2024 took a nosedive for me, let's put it that way. There were a few months in the year where I felt just really anxious, very down, very unable to like regulate my emotions and regulate my anxiety levels, honestly, and I haven't felt that way in a really long time. And I'm feeling like I am in a better place now. I'm not 100% back to where I was, but I'm definitely like on the road there. And when I was reflecting for 2024, because I always like to have a word for the year, my word for the year last year was balance. I tried really hard to have balance last year. I had a lot of stuff going on last year. I had a very packed schedule in terms of travel and going to people's weddings, and just had a lot on. And then also I do work 9 to 5 as a social media manager for an international NGO, which is, you know, takes up a lot of my time and mental space as well. There were like challenges going on at work and things like that that were new kind of territory for me, I guess, and that was also contributing a little bit to the stress. But also when I had a lot of other things going on in my personal life at the same time as all of the work stuff, and also we lost our cat Merlin last year in June. That also really didn't help with my mental health, obviously. It was a really awful thing to have to go through, losing a pet. There were a lot of things in 2024 that happened that were not conducive to a good mental health year, let's put it that way. My word for the year was balance. I feel like at some points in the year I did manage to achieve that, but for most of the year I would say I probably didn't, which is okay. I do think, like, looking back on it, I feel like balance I don't think was the right word to choose, because balance is kind of like the outcome, all the stuff I needed to do to achieve the balance, if that makes sense. And I feel like I probably should have focused more on that stuff that I needed to do to achieve the balance. So this year I am trying to focus a lot more on that. Like, what do I need to do to be able to feel more balanced in the rest of my life? And the ultimate thing that I feel is hard for me at the moment is basically feeling like I'm doing everything in my life, not everything, but like, say, you know, 80% of the things that I'm doing in my life are to please someone else, or because someone else needs me to do that for them, or someone has invited me to this place and I can't say no, or, you know, I'm doing something because it serves the purpose of someone else. And yes, that makes me happy to an extent, and I obviously do want to do those things to an extent as well. But when I was feeling at my worst, there was very little I realized that I was doing just for me, just purely because I wanted to do it. It made me happy, and it made, you know, it wasn't because I was doing it for someone else. So that being said, my word of the year this year is self-preservation. And there are now quite a few things that I've put in place that are just for me. And I kind of have a much better idea of like what those things that I need to have in my life that are just for me and that allow me to like recharge my batteries and just feel more stable are. We're always going to have like busy seasons of life. I'm the kind of person that will just fill my calendar when someone asks me to do stuff. So that self-preservation piece is very much the top of my agenda this year. I need to have that word at the top of my mind at all times. And if I'm feeling, you know, how I was last year when I was really, really anxious, coming back to that self-preservation, thinking, okay, what do I need to do to make me feel okay right now? And that is having time alone, having time to recharge, having time to reset my batteries, and having time at home. And I need to have that to be able to enjoy and not feel stressed out by doing all the other stuff as well. If I have more than one trip in 1 month to either a wedding or my family members, then that stresses me out. So I really, really need to be mindful of that this year. Okay, I've just put a ring light on, so hopefully it's a little bit brighter now. It's getting late afternoon here and the sun is trying to set. So moving on to my goals. So the categories I use for my goals are personal, health, finances, career, and YouTube. So I have 5 categories, and I set, like I said, like 2 or 3 SMART goals within every category. So I'm not going to go through all my personal goals, just because obviously basically there's a lot of goals here. But I did want to touch on like one of my really big goals for the first quarter of this year. So from January to March, my main goal around my life in general is going to be focusing on my health, and that includes my physical health and my mental health. So as I just explained, my mental health is a really big focus for me this year because of everything that happened last year. So in order to really, really focus on my mental health in the first quarter of this year, I'm going to go to therapy. So this isn't something that I have really talked about on YouTube, but I maybe like 2 years ago started going to therapy. And I found it really, really helpful. I had done it a few times in the past, but I'd never really found a therapist that I connected with. And this time was different. I did find a really, really good therapist. She's based just around the corner from me here where I live, and yeah, she's just amazing. She's honestly helped me just understand the way my brain works and the way that I react to things, and like what that comes from as well, in terms of like things that happened, you know, in my childhood, and just like how my brain is wired. And then I kind of felt a lot better after doing that, honestly. Full disclosure, like I don't have a clinical like mental health disorder. I've never been diagnosed with anything, but I have just throughout my life struggled through different periods with anxiety, and I have had panic attacks, or like what I think are panic attacks, a couple of times in my life, and it's normally situational. So if I'm going through something particularly difficult at the time, that's when I start to find I'm really struggling to cope in other ways. To me, I think it's a kind of like normal reaction, to be honest. I don't think that I have like severe mental health issues, but obviously like I am not a doctor, I'm not speaking for anyone here, but for me, going to therapy has, and this is like just talking therapy, like counselling basically, has been really, really, really helpful to just work out why I'm reacting to situations in a certain way. But obviously do what's right for you and go to speak to your doctor if you're really concerned about your mental health. So after going to see her initially, that period 2 years ago, for a couple of years I didn't see her because I felt like I was in an okay place. Skip forward to 2024, I did decide when I was going through a lot of those kind of hard things and I was really, really struggling with feeling anxious, I did decide to go back to her. So I'm going to continue going to her for at least the first quarter of this year, and then I'm going to kind of reassess at the end of March and see how I'm feeling with everything. I may continue to go to her for the rest of this year. I may feel like I've worked through a lot of the stuff by the end of March and feel like in a much better place, but at the moment I do feel like it's really, really helpful for me to go and to have that appointment booked in, so I know like I've got an outlet for, you know, the way I'm feeling if I am going through something that I find difficult. And I still haven't worked through all of that stuff that kind of came up as a result of last year, so I'm working through that with her, and I wanted to continue doing that and putting that at the forefront of my priorities for the first part of this year. So that is a big, big goal for 2025. Another goal around my mental health is to book regular days off work. This is a little bit more tricky to do, but I just want to make sure that sometimes I'm taking a day just for me, not to book a day off work to go and do something for a trip or, you know, because I've got something booked in the diary, but to take a day off work and actually just decide, what do I want to do with that day? Like, do I just want to stay home all day and watch Netflix? Like, that's okay. Sometimes I think you just really need that break period in there. Do have a couple of things coming up in the diary, so I haven't booked that in yet, but I'm gonna kind of see where I have got breaks and gaps and stuff and then book it in. It's tricky because you don't want to use up too much of your holiday early in the year, because then there might not be some left that you want to use later in the year. And then for my physical health, trigger warning, I am about to talk about calories, calorie counting, so if you do not want to hear about that kind of thing, just skip forward to the next chapter in this video. In COVID, I obviously became a lot more sedentary. I've been working from home full-time since COVID happened, which I love. I absolutely love working from home so much, but it has made me a lot more of a sedentary person. So I do have a gym membership. I like going to spin. I like going to different classes and stuff. I've done a few different ones over the years. I've never seen like results, I guess, from going to the gym, if that makes sense. Like, I've never properly seen like changes to my body. I would really like to lose some weight, because since working from home full time, probably like 2 years ago, after, actually, you know what it was? After my honeymoon, I realized that I'd put on quite a bit of weight after my honeymoon, and I've never been able to like lose it again. So I'd really like to get down to like my pre-honeymoon weight, which is not even, I haven't put on tons of weight, but I've definitely gone up a dress size in both my tops and my bottoms. So I'd really like to get back just down one dress size. That's been my goal for a long time, to be honest, like over a year. And even though I have had periods where I felt like I was being good with calorie counting and everything, I definitely fall off the wagon regularly with that. So my other really, really big goal for the first quarter of 2025 is to track my calories every day. So I am in a slight calorie deficit at the moment, and just use MyFitnessPal every day. That is what I really, really want to do for the first 3 months of the year. I want to be doing that every day. So I just am consistent with it at least. And then also my aim is to work out 5 days a week doing a Peloton workout. So I have the Peloton app and I use the app the classes on the app at the gym. So I've been doing treadmill walking workouts and I've really been loving them. So I want to continue doing those. I find them so like easy to do. Oh, just realized I'm not wearing my wedding ring. There is not a divorce happening, guys. I just forgot to put it on. But yeah, I've really been loving those walking treadmill workouts. I find them so accessible. They're low intensity, but you really feel like you've done a workout. Like you burn a decent amount of calories because you're walking on an incline and then you're going flat and then you're going on an incline, and it's like challenging, you know, but it's challenging in a really fun way. And I love the instructors, they like talk you through it. And also a really good thing for the Peloton app is that they can use like proper tracks. So a lot of the apps, the workout apps and stuff I've tried in the past, they have to use royalty-free music, but on the Peloton one they use like just normal any tracks basically. They often do like themed walks, so it'll be like 90s pop, 2000s pop, and you know, you can choose what you want and you can look at the playlist before you select the workout as well. So really been enjoying the Peloton workout app. And so those are my physical health goals, and what I plan to do is for the first 3 months just really focus on achieving those 2 things. So the MyFitnessPal tracking and the 5 times a week workouts, and then reassess at the end of March, see where I'm at, see if I have lost any weight by that point, and just kind of like do a big check-in at that point. But I feel like those health goals are really in line with my word of the year, self-preservation, as well, because it's really just focusing on myself and feeling the best that I can feel in my body and in my mind. So that is kind of like Q1 locked in. Those are my focuses, and then I do obviously also have all of my other goals as well, but that is going to be my real focus point for the first quarter of this year. So moving on to finance goals. Finances I do find just difficult. I like spending money, okay? Finances are a hard one for me, but we do have some goals this year that we want to achieve with the house. Again, I've tried to make these realistic and achievable. So I have put like quite long deadlines in these, because these were also, 2 of these were also my goals for last year. We did achieve some of our house goals last year, but I think I really underestimated how expensive house stuff was going to be and how much other stuff we had to spend money on last year, like traveling and things like that. So we really didn't achieve all of what I thought we would be able to achieve last year with the house. So for this year, my goals for the house are save for a driveway. So our driveway needs redoing. We just want it tarmacked. It is tarmacked in some places, but there's like gravel around the outside of the driveway, and like it gets a lot of weeds growing up through there, so we want to just tarmac the whole thing. The deadline for that is June 2025, so let's see if we can achieve that. The other big house finance goal is save for new flooring by December 2025. So the first 6 months of the year is going to be focused on saving for the driveway, and then the flooring is going to be the second half of the year, and I'm hoping that that is realistic and achievable, but let's see. We only want to change the flooring in the hallway and the kitchen area. I want to put in like a warm wood laminate flooring, or you know, LVT style flooring. At the moment we have like white sterile very cold tiles on our floor in our kitchen, and I just want to make it feel more warm and cozy. So I've wanted to get that since we've moved in, and we just haven't been able to spend the money on it, unfortunately. So yes, that is a big goal for this year, and I'm hoping that by the end of the year we will have achieved those 2 things. The other finance goals I have in here are keep using my budget tracker. So I do have a budget tracker that I use every month, and I try to kind of stick to that, and I set myself limits with spending on things. Obviously I'm human, like I do go through very spend happy times of my life, but overall I'm pretty good at keeping on track. I'm just not very good at saving. My mentality is if it's in my account I can spend it, So I've been trying to, over the past few years, get a lot better with locking certain money away that I can't access because I find then I can save a lot better. So yeah, have my budget tracker. I want to keep using that every single month. And then I do have a couple of long-term like savings accounts that are high interest, and I want to keep saving into those every month as well. So those are all my finance goals. You know, I have been more specific with them, but I'm not going to get into numbers and stuff. And then for career goals, my career goals are really to just like keep doing what I'm doing with my career. I am really happy in the place that I'm at the moment, like where I'm at in my sort of progression. I like the position that I'm in at the moment. I feel like last year was very much a learning year for me. It was the first proper year that I was a manager and kind of line managing. I line managed 3 people, so really kind of getting to grips with that and finding my feet and getting into a groove and a rhythm with it. I feel like now I'm kind of in that rhythm-ish. I want to just like make it feel more solid and stable. If I can keep that element stable, then that will be a way that I can kind of maintain that self-preservation word of the year as well. Over the past few years, I've really kind of focused on climbing that ladder in my career, and now I need a bit of a rest from that. I just need to be still for a bit. So yeah, that's my goal for the year, and sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you just need to be still for a bit. So finally, moving on to my YouTube goals for the year, and I just want to say thank you so much if you have got to this part of the video. I really, really, really appreciate my YouTube family over here, and thank you for tuning into my videos. Honestly means so much to see you guys kind of watching and enjoying my videos, and I read all the comments, and yeah, it means a lot. I went through a period last year of feeling just quite lost with YouTube and just like not knowing sort of where my place is with YouTube anymore, because I feel like the landscape has changed so much since I started making videos. You know, I started this channel as a makeup only, well, majority makeup channel, and you know, my interests have changed. The YouTube world has changed, like YouTube, what's popular on YouTube has massively changed. Makeup videos aren't, well, at least I don't watch makeup videos anymore. I know there's loads of creators doing makeup videos, but I think like it's not like the big trend anymore to do makeup. However, it is what tends to perform best on my channel, just because obviously a lot of you guys found me through makeup like tips and stuff, especially if you're a redhead. So a lot of my audience, I think, does want to see that kind of content from me. My goal for YouTube this year is to actually not treat it as a job, because YouTube is very much a hobby for me and I always want it to be fun, but get a little bit more strategic with my YouTube channel. So at work, we have a social media strategy that we work to every year, and I've never done that with YouTube, and I don't know why, because it's like marketing 101, you know, like that's what I do. I am a marketer, I work in social media. I don't treat my YouTube in the same way. So my goal for YouTube is to create a bit of a content strategy and really understand what my vision for my YouTube channel is, because I've never really done that exercise where I've looked at like, what is my vision, what's my mission here, like what am I trying to do? And I kind of know those things on a very surface level, but I've never really like taken the time to properly do the exercise, like write it all down and really like figure it out. So I want to do that this year, and that's like my goal for like in the next month or so. I'm gonna really sit down and properly look at all of that stuff, and then also have a bit of a content strategy. So when I know that like when I want to film a video that's gonna get views and get more engagement and stuff like that, what type of video does that look like? And then when I want to film more of a chatty video like this, what kind of content pillar does that fit under? I also want to get into experimenting a little bit with YouTube shorts. I personally don't enjoy shorts. I don't really watch a lot of shorts. I wouldn't seek a short out necessarily. but I do think the algorithm favors your channel a little bit more when you are using all of the platform's capabilities. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And yeah, please don't worry if you do enjoy what I do here now. Things aren't going to change drastically. It's just going to give me a bit more of a sense of, you know, a bit more of a schedule and a structure with YouTube than just kind of like, oh, I have a day to film a video tomorrow, what should I film? Like, it's very ad hoc, it's very sporadic for me at the moment, and I want it to be more structured and more strategic, like I said. So yeah, those are all of my goals for 2025. I feel like this has been such a long video. Really got into the weeds there with like talking through everything, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this. It's practically nighttime now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know your goals for 2025 in the comments below. I would love to hear what you're focusing on for this year. I hope that you are all feeling well and as well as you can for 2025. The new year, the start to the new year can be really exciting, but it can also be a lot of pressure, and you know, it's okay to just take a little bit of a step back and have a very chilled start to the new year as well. Take it slow if you need to. Don't rush into anything. You've got the whole year ahead of you to start thinking about your goals. You don't even need to think about them now if you don't want to. There's never a right time. I just do genuinely enjoy starting to like reflect and think about that kind of thing in January. Hope you're all doing really well and taking care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.